So, back-to-back pole positions. Can he make it back-to-back victories? Let's just bring you up to speed on exactly where we are. If you've been a fan of V8 Supercar Racing or the Australian Touring Car Championship over the last, well, 2.5 decades, you certainly know this place, Winton Motor Raceway. So it's 3 kilometres in length. They get up to 225 k's on approach down there to turn 1. A lot of action around the hairpins of 7, 8 and 9.
Just quickly, Matty, just going back to the problem with Fabian Coulthard, I flicked a text to team owner Brad Jones for a bit deeper understanding of that. And we know what happens with these cars sometime, and there he is on screen for Fabian. When they idle, when you've got the airbox off them, you actually see them spitting back through the trumpets on occasion. Every so often, you'll get a little fire that's created when they blow back through the trumpet, and it quickly takes hold and does a lot of damage, and that's why they ended up with a little bit of that wiring burnt. So that's why, as Larko explained before, they had to replace some of it. But the source of the problem is actually a fire, and it happens every now and again. It's happened to quite a few of them over a period of time. One of the reasons why the drivers are very cautious with the throttle percentage when they're using the pit lane speed limiter is precisely that.
30 seconds.
Interesting to hear David Reynolds, who we saw on board as we flick around some of our onboard cameras. David Reynolds wanting a tame race. I mean, he's a guy that likes to be in the thick of it. He likes to throw it around, but after all the craziness earlier on in the day, these guys want what Fabian Coulthard got. Get out and don't have to worry about all the drama. I get the feeling, though, you just can't help but have shenanigans, especially under restart. So it's 100 kilometres, flat out, no pit stops, 34 laps. We know what happens here.
Let's check out the Fuso starting grid for race number 8 of the championship. And again today, Fabian Coulthard will start from the pole position alongside fellow Kiwi Scotty McLaughlin in the Volvo. Then it's Shane Van Gisbergen, VIP Pet Foods, great drive in the first one. Lee Holdsworth for Erebus Motorsport next. Nice performance, David Reynolds. He'll be effective in this one alongside Mark Winterbottom also in the Ford. James Moffat for the Norton Hornets 7. Timmy Slade, Super Cheap Auto Racing next. Position 9, Chaz Mostert for Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. Another Ford, Scotty Pye alongside him. A great performance in the previous race by Dale Wood, position 3. And then it's David Wall. Jason Bright, position 13, Team BOC. Had a willing battle with Rick Kelly and Will Davison alongside him.
And it's Caruso, Nick Percat. So both of those guys involved in dramas early on in race 7. James Courtney's car 22 was ripped apart. Rick Kelly's car 15 was spun around. Todd Kelly also in the wars. Same too for Garth Tander. So we're going back down through the field. That's where we find a defending series champ. Jamie Whincup to start in 21st. It's worse though for Red Bull Racing Australia. Craig Lowndes, the series leader, starts in 23rd. Robert Dahlgren alongside him, and Russell Ingall, a furious Russell Ingall at the rear of the grid.
So on board here with McLaughlin inside the Volvo, starts from the front row of the grid. We've got it covered on board as always through a variety of cars. This is Mark Winterbottom, Ford Performance Racing Pepsi Max. He got some solid points out of that last one. Boy, it's been a weird weekend for him. Speaking of weird, how about Jamie Whincup having to battle from this position? So we're on board with him, a whole bunch of angles covered there. I looked at some tyres after the last race to try and get an understanding. Man, are the rear tyres working hard. The place is bathed in sunshine. We didn't have those conditions yesterday. Nobody's ever tested here before with this treatment on the racetrack. So we're really jumping into the unknown here, and in fact it's got a little bit hotter now relative to the earlier race. Larko?
Yeah, and as we saw in that last race, Neil, the start is going to be mega critical because it allowed you to control the race as Fabian did. I just watched the guys as they took off there on their warm-up lap, and it's a really good indicator. So see all that black stuff on the road? We've talked about it where they've patched up the cracks. Those lines where Fabian's just pulling up now are actually not rubber. That's a lot of this black stuff that's been laid down by the rubber of the tyre. When he took off just then, he had massive amount of grip, and Scotty over the other side had a lot of wheel spin. It's a real indicator, and it's a real dilemma for drivers. Do I give it so much revs to get over this sticky stuff and thereby wheel spin and go nowhere, or do I just ease it out nicely like Fabian just did? You can see he's right up on the line there. They're nearly ready to go. Back to you, boys. Red hot start. Stand back.
Well, so much to watch here. We've got the Red Bull guys all the way down the back. We've got Russell Ingall all fired up. He's at the rear. At the front, we've got Fabian Coulthard. He's had a golden run. Alongside him, the Volvo, Scotty McLaughlin. 100 Ks, the super sprint format. Who will get away cleanly? It's pretty even at the front. Very even at the front. Winterbottom is super aggressive. He's already having a look through turn 1. McLaughlin sticks the Volvo ahead, and he'll lead him up through turn 2. So the Kiwis duke it out, and down the inside comes James Courtney in front of his teammate Garth Tander.
Dave Reynolds actually got the best start of the lot then. Went down the inside, couldn't really make it stick because Van Gisbergen was in the centre of all that. Look at this action on the way into the sweeper. There'll be drama at the back end of this corner because you can't get through the change direction alongside each other.
Oh, Caruso so close to out of road on the braking approach to turn 7 then. Massive congestion back in the pack, and he actually went back to first gear then, Jamie Whincup, to deal with it. You don't see that too often at turn 7. Back to first gear again at turn 9. It is a traffic jam. Wheel spin in second. Look at Garsall sliding up on the outside at 9 as well. That's Courtney in front. Whincup's in an awkward spot here on the outside at 10. Meantime, at 11, McLaughlin by 2 car lengths from Coulthard. They've already cleared out somewhat from Holdsworth.
There must have been so much nervous energy off the start. Remember, they only just finished changing the engine on car 33. They had gremlins in car 14 just before the start of this race. Both of them got away well. As you mentioned, David Reynolds, a good start. He's in 4th. There's the 2 Wilson security cars of Pye and Wall just at the back end of the top 10.
Todd Kelly is reporting that when the car hits the rev limiter, it dies. Remember, back at turn 3 in the previous race, we saw him at the back of the packet get all jammed up and people running into the back of it. I think he's got a similar issue.
It looks like the surface condition of the road has lost a lot of that black look. I look at Craig Lowndes' tyres at the end of the last race. There were no wear indicators on the tyre at all. Completely worn out. Worse tyre degradation than Phillip Island.
One of the reasons that people didn't come in and grab another set of tyres is be a little bit careful you don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Tomorrow, 200-kilometre race. There's 24 of the Dunlop soft tyres available across the racing weekend. So tyre management is very, very important. So if you pull your tyres forward and use too many today, you'll pay a price tomorrow.
Lee Holdsworth showing good pace. Fastest of the first 3 cars on this first flying lap. Just check some times for you.
Check out the straight line speed there of the Blue Beast as we were riding with Scott McLaughlin, looking back to Fabian Coulthard, who finds himself for the first time this weekend trailing another car.
23.7, 23.7, 23.7, first 3 cars.
That's a nasty study you've got there. Nice job, David Reynolds. He's got some clear air here at the moment. Had a quick word to him before the start of this race, and Tahan was there and she said, you know, he's actually quite nice to live with. He's a really good bloke. So he fired back. Why did you say that earlier in the day on V8 Extra? I think poor old Davey's licking his wounds after that, but he is, we give him a bad time, but he's a great sport. He plays well with us. Here's the replay of the start. Watch him here because he gets down the inside quickly, but he couldn't apply it. There was nowhere to go once he got down to turn 1, but his start was really, really strong.
Watch him on the inside. The road runs out. See, the pit lane finishes, the road runs out. He couldn't really do anything about it. Then when you flick it to the right, he got a little bump there from Van Gisbergen, and he got away with a move which normally would end up as a catastrophe at the change of direction. This is on board. Here we go. He's gone to the right. That's Winterbottom. So he had nowhere to go. So he's up in behind Lee Holdsworth, and then over to the left, there's Davey. This is where you normally have the contact. Bang. There was a little bump, but not enough to put them out.
The standard response there on the run into turn 3 is everyone marches to the right because they know you're vulnerable in the braking area there, Larko.
Yeah, and if we watch Fabian Coulthard there, Frank Adamson, the category technical manager, is just in having a serious discussion or a little bit of debate, if you like, with Team Red Bull, because they feel that when he was out on the start line, in fact, in the pit lane, when he went, the car didn't start under its own power. Well, that's wrong. The car wouldn't start, so they had to rock it to get the starter motor out of gear, if you like, to actually then let it start under its own power. So there's a little bit of conjecture, I think, going to play out there. Happened to get on the start.
Gee, those, isn't it funny sometimes when all of a sudden the tide goes out in sport and you just start having all these compounding problems. So they've had pretty decent qualifying in the previous one. A shocker for this. They're racing at the back of the field trying to find their way forward. Now they're in a technical debate trying to figure out whether they can survive the race full stop. We're on board with Mark Winterbottom. He got a ripper start, but he was just like David Reynolds, had nowhere to go once he got mobile.
So Lowndes currently in 21st. Whincup just in front in 20th. James Courtney and Garth Tander are just in front of those in 18th and 19th. So the Red Bull and HRT rivalry is at its best, but it's for 18th, 19th, 20th and 21st. McLaughlin, Coulthard, Holdsworth again, fastest to the second sector on this lap. He's taken some ground, Neil, on this lap out of Van Gisbergen.
And with the air temp going up a couple of degrees in this one, and with the knowledge of the previous event now, I think there'll be some conservative throttle treatment and general carb treatment and behaviour, because you're going to need to make sure you've got firepower at the end of this. If you pull the trigger now and use up everything aggressively in the front part of the race, it's going to be really hard work at the back end.
No doubt, because they were doing 22 and a halves last race. They're doing 23 and a halves in this race. So some of that black treatment of the road has changed, the grip level's changed, but they've all learnt from it. They're all pioneers before. So what you're saying, I totally agree with. You've got to drive the car more conservatively early and think about the end of the race, which is I'm standing there with Roland Dane and Jeremy Moore and Craig Lowndes, and that was the message to Craig. Just think about the end, just be real conservative early.
And think about what happened at the end of race 7 for a guy like Lowndes. He was in the 130s. It just dropped off the cliff. So Mark Winterbottom continues to hound Shane Van Gisbergen, car 97. A little bit of damage on the back of the VIP Pet Foods Commodore. Aside from the big Russell Ingall drama and his push through the field, the guy that you're riding with right now had a ripper race earlier. It started from 23rd and got up to 7th. Remember, he got some front left damage in the contact, came back in through pit lane. They fixed that. They didn't give him new rubber. If they did, he would have speared through the field.
Yeah, Matty, there was a lot of, obviously, drama up and down pit lane. None more so than here in the Volvo pit. Scott McLaughlin having to have an engine change. They reckon it was a head gasket situation after the engine got very hot when he was dragged back here by the tow vehicle. Those guys worked obviously incredibly hard to get that car back out there. Everything so far, the reports from everyone in here is that the car is going good. No issues to show for.
It's amazing, isn't it, Murph? They have all that time and it takes them right up until they have to grid up for them to get that.
He's on him. Look at how close he is now, Matty. Coulthard's made a lot of ground, even in this last half lap. I suspect there might have even been a little error here from McLaughlin. And Holdsworth is closer now as well, so he is really in a perfect position here at the moment to capitalise if either of these two misstep. So let's have a look here in the braking area at turn 11. Holdsworth fastest to the second timing intermediate, the best lap of the race so far at 23.1. Jason Bright with a new lap record in the last one of a 22.5. Coulthard is now menacing. In fact, just clarifying my earlier remarks about that starter motor stuff, it was Red Bull Racing querying these guys at Lockwood about the way in which their car started.
Well, not just in pit lane, but actually on the warm-up lap.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't engage the starter motor, and they've got to be able to start under their own steam. So that was a little bit of controversy, which Fabian didn't really need because he had enough drama going already.
Now, Fabian's going to have a sniff up the inside in between 6 and 7 if he can get close enough through this left-hander. He's not quite close enough at the moment. They actually just lost a bit of margin, Murph.
Hey guys, you're not going to believe this, but car 33, even though it's out there leading the race right now, has got a problem, and it looks like it's coming to pit lane. The guys have just cleared a space in the garage for Scott McLaughlin.
Oh, kidding me.
Gee, good luck, aren't you, Murph? You're in that garage for a minute. You just reported everything was great. You're there for one more lap and it's over and out.
What have I done to my bro? What have I done?
Well, let's see how long he can stay out there. So Gary Rogers and the crew who worked so hard to get this operation up and running in 2014, it's started to pay dividends straight away when they announced their arrival with a bang at the Clipsal 500. Out with engine drama in race 7, they replace it, they get him back out there on the front row of the grid, and it now looks as though he's going to find himself back in the garage.
He's pressed on,
yep.
So there's obviously further discussion going on. I'm trying to scan them at the moment to figure out what's happening. And Larko?
Well, you know these ones, mate. This might be the one where it's not an engine problem. The problem will be that the driver's radio lead's now popped out.
Yeah,
when you're leading the race, it's a hard call to cop.
pop out, or did he pop it out? He might not want to hear that message. He wouldn't do that. He's a professional, but that's the last thing you want to hear when you're in a commanding position, that there's something else outside your control.
Just have a really close look here for a second and have a listen, because the steering feedback looks okay, so it doesn't look like a power steer problem. Engine note sounds okay, and on the previous run we saw the straight line performance versus Fabian, also not an issue. Let's listen for the changes. Yeah, at the moment there is a bit of that fume, which Scott was aware of based on the new exhaust headers going in and some of the heat treatment on those headers coming out as fumes in the heat of the day.
They might be seeing some big numbers on something back in the garage in the telemetry. I'll tell you what it does do well, it turns well. His wheel work is minimal. He's having a very comfortable run, turning the car in, picking the throttle up off the corner. He still leads the race. He's got half a second margin over Fabian Coulthard, and Lee Holdsworth is tucked right behind.
So it's a battle of the Kiwis. It's a battle of Volvo and Holden. 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. Volvo, Holden, Mercedes and Ford. Best Nissan's not far behind. James Moffat is 7th as we ride on board with the race leader, the Rookie of the Year last year, Scott McLaughlin. 2 race wins aboard a Commodore last year in his first year in the V8 Supercars Championship. Question marks remain over the Valvoline Volvo. We are on lap 9, 26 to complete, so still a long, long way to go, but Coulthard stands to gain here. Not just first place if there's a problem with the Volvo, but the championship lead.
Yeah, mate, you're going to have to bring it in again.
That's Richard Holloway. He's got to come in. Scott McLaughlin's response was, are you serious? He's leading the race. He's making good speed, but he's got to bring it to the lane, so that puts Fabian Coulthard into the lead of race 8 at Winton Motor Raceway. 1 Kiwi in, 1 Kiwi to the lead. And McLaughlin can't believe it. All that good work, a great qualifying effort. It ends. Their second car is at the tail of the field with Robert Dahlgren. So with Coulthard to the lead, Lowndes will move to 20th. This will be almost even in terms of the championship. Can't believe it. McLaughlin is gutted, and justifiably so. Volvo on target to win their first race in the championship since rejoining the championship. They were here in the Group A era with the turbocharged 240s, and now the V8 powered S60 is done. Yep, what can you do? Can only wait and watch. So Coulthard takes the lead. Holdsworth is now 2nd for Erebus. There's so many storylines today at Winton that it's hard to keep up with them all. Reynolds sits in 3rd spot. Van Gisbergen's next from Winterbottom. Moffat, Slade, Mostert, Pye. David Wall's the top 10. Jamie Winkup's back in 19th. Lowndes is 20th. Let's rejoin Matty White and the boys.
Sorry, bud. Good luck, mate. Good luck. You serious? Yeah, mate, you're going to have to bring it in again. Sorry, mate. Come into the garage.
Welcome back. That's the drama.
Oh, okay.
So Richard Holloway talking to Scott McLaughlin, telling him that he has to come in this lap. That was the reaction. Are you serious?
Are you serious?
And then resignation. Oh, okay, he said. So something's off the charts back at home base here in the Gary Rogers Motorsport Garage, and the leader of the race
In the garage, mate. You stay in the car.
will now have to park it.
It looks like it's a battery or a voltage issue, because you see the guys go to work straight away here, just alongside Scott, right there. So maybe with a new engine, there's a little alternator problem or whatever, but other than the engine sensors telling the guys via telemetry that there's an oil pressure problem or an overheating problem that Scott's not aware of, it's got to be something like that now.
What a disappointment. And what can you do?
Meantime, the gap at the front's pretty tight still between Coulthard and Holdsworth. I know that Murph's down in the garage. Can you add?
Yeah, you guys are pretty much on it. They're not 100% sure, but it could be related, could be alternator. They're going for the battery, obviously, as you've seen. But Richard Holloway wasn't too keen to give too much information away. But there was a voltage issue that was dropping, and they were worried about that, so they brought him in.
Yeah, we saw him dive into the left rear corner of the car. Thanks for the update, Merv. Think about the pain and the anguish for Scott McLaughlin in that. To lead one of these races, you work your entire career to get to the top of the tree in V8 supercar racing. To get into a position to be in front, to have to relinquish the lead, it's very disappointing. The upside of the story, though, is that they've got pace. If you're getting dragged in off the racetrack and you're tail end Charlie, it's double depression. But when you've got pace, at least you can look forward to applying it at some future opportunity.
So the wait for Volvo to get their first championship win in 28 years. He's going to have to wait another day. Back to this battle. It's been raging since the start. Van Gisbergen holding off Mark Winterbottom. The Giz on the podium earlier today. And this is for position 4. So it's Coulthard, Holdsworth in the Erebus Motorsport, Mercedes in second. Davey Reynolds in the Bottle O Ford is third. And these two guys behind them is Moffat, Slade, Chaz Mostert, Scott Pye and David Wall. Our championship leaders, Craig Lowndes in 20th, Jamie Whincup 19th.
Yeah, the calibre of the people they're racing too. Courtney's 16th, Rick Kelly's 17th, Michael Caruso, he's a little bit further ahead in 15th. So there's a lot of guys that are really well buried down there. This is tightening up here. Looks like Frosty's got a bit of pace. He just can't quite make the gap at the moment.
And it comes from the front of the car. It turns so well compared to Van Gisbergen. So when Mark Winterbottom first turns the wheel, he gets a lot of turning done, which makes the exit straighter, and therefore he can drive the car with more throttle on the exit. So you watch the trajectory of the car. See how inside the exit is versus Van Gisbergen. So he'll get by. He's just got to find the right moment. You see there, he's half a car width inside the line of Van Gisbergen, so he's using less road with a straighter exit.
Watch him again through this left-hander at 5. It's the direction change at 6, and there's a little short segment here. That's the end of 5. Here's 6, and there's a little gap. He'll try to sneak up the inside, but he just couldn't get it done. If you're close enough, you can make that fly, as Scott McLaughlin's repair work's been completed, and he rejoins at the tail end of the field.
See, again, just there, much later apex. For Mark Winterbottom, much straighter. Check this also, turns left, gets it in. Much narrower, much straighter exit.
Yeah, you just get the feeling it's going to just be a matter of time before Frosty gets past Shane Van Gisbergen, but the Kiwi is not making it easy for him. Another Kiwi, though, continues to lead. Coulthard ahead.
$13 down at Winton, 21 to complete, and look at this. The Erebus Mercedes of Lee Holdsworth is second in the race. He's chasing Fabian Coulthard, who leads the way. Reynolds is going with him, but a massive gap back now to Shane Van Gisbergen, who is hanging on just from Mark Winterbottom, who's applying the blowtorch in the Pepsi Max car, P5, car number 5. Moffat is 6th, best of the Nissan Altimas. As we ride on board with the former V8 Supercar runner-up, Mark Winterbottom, Bathurst champion last year for the Factory Ford team. Getting frustrated. Not quite enough to get by the Gold Coast-based Kiwi. McLaughlin back in the race in the Volvo is 3 laps down. Just driving around now to do some laps and learn some more about that car before tomorrow's 9th race of the championship, which is a longer one, 200 kilometres, double the distance of this one. There's Moffat just behind in the Norton Nissan, Tim Slade, Chaz Mostert. Both Dick Johnson Fords are in the top 10. Scott Pye and David Wall having a really nice run for the famous Ford team. Winterbottom yet to win a race this year. Ford have not won since David Reynolds last October on the Gold Coast. And of course, Winterbottom's last win was at Bathurst just 2 weeks before that. But this is the fight for 4th. Van Gisbergen is struggling with the Techno Autosports Commodore. This is the VIP Pet Foods car. 888 built chassis, same engines as run by the Red Bull cars who are not in the game. They have not moved. Whincup is 19th, Lowndes is 20th. If they finish where they are, Coulthard will close in to within 2 points of Craig Lowndes' championship lead. He will come storming into calculations for the title as Winterbottom continues this fight for 4th spot. It's lap 15 at Winton, race 8 of the championship, and Fabian Coulthard's on target for 2 in a row.
Winton 400 continues. A look in the Holden Racing Team bunker in pit lane. This battle on the track, though, also continues. And Mark Winterbottom, at stages throughout a lap, is only millimetres away from Shane van Gisbergen. And this has been raging now for 14 laps. And the situation remains the same. The Giz is struggling in this car. That's clear. Mark has got pace. That's clear as well. He just can't find the spot to make a clean pass.
I think it's the rear of the car that's giving him grief. I intercepted a radio message from Shane that said it's getting worse and worse. So we've been staring at the back of this car, just watching it. I think he's trying to do his best to drive it straight, but there are a couple of spots around the track where he's really battling it and having to very carefully progress that throttle. Meantime, right in behind this, you've got a heck of a battle going on with those tucked in behind. Look at this, also down the 18th, 19th, 20th position. That trio there, Whincup, Tander and Lowndes. Can you believe it?
They've made no ground at all.
Neil, you and I spoke about it this morning. We were actually having a chat about the depth of field, weren't we? I mean, out of 25 cars out there, we actually genuinely think, 23 of them on a day could win the race. So let's have a quick chat with Mark Datton, who's running team operations here, just over my shoulder. You can see Roland, who used to, team owner, is down the back there, staying out of everyone's way. Mate, you must be perplexed, because I can tell you we sure as hell are. Your cars are faster than this. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. We struggled here last year, and we came here with high hopes of doing a better job. And today, in one quali, we did a pretty good job with 888. But yeah, we haven't lifted our game enough this year compared to last.
I know it's hard to be specific, mate, but I guess for the benefit of people at home, when you say you can't work it out, it's hard for people to understand, what is it that you can't work out? I know you're not going to give us a shock number, but what's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. So the track was just remarkably faster than it's ever been here, and we didn't tune to the condition. Engineers, manager and drivers all together, we didn't do a good enough job compared to the rest of the field.
Wow, it just shows how tough it is, eh?
Oh, it's very tight. That's like you said, anyone can win.
Good luck, mate.
It's tough down the order here as well. And look, finally, Winterbottom's got through on Van Gisbergen, and Moffat's joining the party. So at turn 4, James Moffat is right behind Shane as well, has really got his hands full. So James Moffat, speedy. Meantime, it's a 1.2 second gap, Coulthard to Holdsworth.
And 5 manufacturers in the top 6. Holden, Mercedes, Ford, Holden, Nissan. Right behind there is Slade. Look at that. That's a lot of pressure that James is applying to the back of Shane van Gisbergen. He's going to do the crisscross, come back the other side. Got a good exit.
Hey guys, I tell you what, Neil Crompton, you should have been a race car driver. You were spot on with the Gisbergen situation, the rear of the car. He's complaining about it being quite loose. He's just not able to get the car through the centre and off the corner as good as those other guys. He's doing a pretty good job under the brakes to try and hold these guys off, but as you said, Winterbottom was always going to get past him.
Thanks, Murph.
And what happens a lot is that when the rear tyre goes away, it doesn't just go away in the corners, it goes away under brakes. So that performance that you see, he's actually battling it the whole time. From the time he puts his foot on the brake to the time he gets out of the corner, he is struggling.
Betty Clemenco, in race 7 today, you were crocheting. The crocheting has been put away. How is your heart rate? What's going through your mind right now? Lee Holdsworth sitting in 2nd position.
My husband said I've never been this quiet in my life. I feel ill. I don't think I have a heart. It fell out about 10 minutes ago. God, listen to me. I sound like a normal human being. You know what? I'm just standing here, and every single ounce of belief that I've ever had in my cars, my drivers, the engines, everything else is just going around this track at the moment, and I have goose pimples. Oh God, I have no idea what I am saying anymore. Sorry.
She can't talk. It's too much for her, but we hope that Lee can get on the podium for this one.
going to tap Tim Edwards on the shoulder, mate. Tim, it didn't start off a great weekend, but you're starting to come on strong. You've got 2 cars now in the top 4, mate. The track's coming to you. The cars have moved forward.
Look, I think we always knew we had good race pace. You know, it's the same in Tassie. We had gross race pace. Our issue at the moment is qualifying. You know, we're a bit up and down. I mean, other people are suffering from the same thing. You know, the whole field's so tight. You've only just got to be a little bit off your game in qualifying, and you're either a hero or zero. So we've got to sort it out. You know, the car's great in race pace. You know, Frosty still was, you know, punching out some good lap times at the end of the last race. So, you know, I think we're looking all right.
Very hard question to answer, mate, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you do to improve qualifying?
Well, there's not one thing. I mean, it is lots of little things. You know, we're not looking for seconds, we're looking for tenths. And, you know, if you find half a tenth at every corner, you know, half a tenth is nothing. But add that up over 12 corners, that's a hell of a lot. So, you know, we kind of know where we're going wrong. But, you know, it's not easy.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. So they've currently got Davey Reynolds in third on the podium. Mark Winterbottom's behind him. Chaz Mostert is also in the top 10, so they've certainly turned it around as they all try and chase Fabian Coulthard, who's trying to close out back-to-back wins with Supercars Saturday.
David Reynolds there, Bottle Ford is position 3 as we look further back. This is the Super Cheap Auto Commodore of Tim Slade from the Walkinshaw team. He is the best of the cars from Clayton, the suburb in Melbourne from which that team operates, and he sits in 7th spot at the moment. Coulthard just punched out a 1:25.28. That's 2 seconds away from his fastest lap, which was some 14 laps ago. Holdsworth and Reynolds, their pace is very, very similar. Look at this, Moffat lining up, trying to get a run on Van Gisbergen, who's struggling in that VIP Pet Foods Commodore. The former Clipsal champ hasn't got much to fight with. Winterbottom has passed him and skipped away. Moffat now looking for the move, not quite there. The Norton Hornet is buzzing. 5th place is on the line. Look at them, they're lining up. Slade, Mostert, David Wall, Scott Pye, Jason Bright. And it's all because of Van Gisbergen. He doesn't have the pace, but they don't have it in the right spot to get past him just yet. Look at that, over the curb. Moffat's eyes light up. He's in the gap, but it's not enough. Wrong side for the next corner. Try again, find another spot. Keep probing, keep working, keep looking. You can see on the graphic, the margin is taken away to get to the bumper bar, but now he needs to get a move. He's looking for drive off turn 9 onto the extension of this circuit, which has been around now for nearly 2 decades. That was Wall in the background, lunging Mostert for 8. So the 2 Ford teams, FPR and Dick Johnson Racing, are right among it with one another. Look at Van Gisbergen, really wide at turn 11. Just trying to drive it straight off all the corners and save himself to the braking areas, not leave himself open for an attack from the Norton Nissan of Moffat. Remember, he won his first race here in the 60-60 Super Sprint format last year, the son of the Hall of Famer, the 4-time Bathurst champ, Alan Moffat. But lap 21, the Nissan looks menacing. Fabian Coulthard still leads the way. Lee Holdsworth's on target for a podium, and Reynolds sits in 3rd.
Welcome back. It wasn't too long ago, earlier today, that Shane Van Gisbergen was hounding Fabian Coulthard and ended up on the podium, but now he is the hunted man here, and they're all lining up to have a crack at him because he is losing control of car 97. And James Moffat is waiting and waiting and ready to pounce. And look at the freight train behind him. Slade's there, Wall, Mostert. It just shows you how much Van Gisbergen is holding up the field.
And I think that David Wall actually grabbed a spot on that last lap too, Matt, over Chaz Mostert. But the interesting thing for me, they're all being told to manage the tyres. We're already into the mid to high 25s. So they're having to really work hard in these bright sunny conditions. The track condition has changed, the temperature's gone up. That's Rearwood from Whincup at the moment, 18th, looking at Jack Perkins, and then it's Craig Lowndes behind. Just in front of Jamie is Rick Kelly, 17th, then Michael Caruso. So it's a mixed up field at the moment. They've made little or no progress in those Red Bull Holden Commodores.
Remember, Garth Tander was in that battle the last time we saw them, so Jack Perkins has got that spot, and they've dropped Garth. He's 2 seconds back.
So on target at the moment at Erebus Motorsport for best ever as a team in V8 supercar competition. We've had a 4th place last weekend in Tasmania and last year at Sandown. But got it. Great job, yeah, nice work. So great job, Lee Holdsworth, currently in 2nd, and a terrific job also here. This little battle that we're watching as Moffat keeps making progress. So he's up to 5th. We're looking from the bonnet of Scotty Pye's Ford Falcon up into turn 7 here. And Bright's actually been marching along nicely, so he's 10th. He's got a little bit of pace, but that's a very big traffic jam in front. Can you imagine the amount of hot air going into the front brakes on that car of Jason Bright's?
Oh, he almost had a little lunge down the inside of Mostert. These cars look like they're quite good, Neil. With Wall in 8th, Scott Pye in 11th. DJR. A couple of good young guys in this mix, and you can see there Bright running very wide at turn 11. Does have the makings of some drama, this little pack.
Did you see how he said that, Neil? He's hoping for drama.
Oh, he's
our mate Mark here. So Coulthard, 0.6 of a second is his lead. Can he hold on? Can he do the double? What about Lee Holdsworth, Davey Reynolds? We're going to find out after this.
Look up in front. This is on. Down the inside. Chaz Mostert trying to get a move. Gets it through on Tim Slade. Jason Bright tries to follow. That's what you get at Winton. Someone gets a move done and it leaves someone wide. And 1, 2, sometimes 3 cars fill the gap. Now Van Gisbergen again has them all lined up because Moffat's got by and gone away, just as Winterbottom did earlier on. Here's Jason Bright trying to get Slade. Pye, Will Davison, Dale Wood, James Courtney, they're all lined up. It's a high-speed, nose-to-tail freight train, and it's all about getting a bit of a run. Coulthard leads, 6/10 to Holdsworth. There's nothing in it at the front. That Erebus Mercedes is a contender. Look, there's the second one in the background. Will Davison down the inside on Scott Pye for 11th spot. And Holdsworth is going lap time for lap time to the 100th with Fabian Coulthard. Look at Van Gisbergen, he's struggling. He's still got 10 more laps to go. That's the bad part for him. Mostert's all over the back of him. Winterbottom just took time away from his teammate David Reynolds, but he's 6 seconds down the road, 10 to go. Here's David Wall, nice job in that famous 17 Ford. We'll see Stephen Johnson alongside him for the Enduros later in the year, but he runs position 6 at the moment, which is better than his best, which was on the Gold Coast last year. Bright in the gap here. Slade has to give that spot up, and Davison will get a run as well. Now the tyres starting to go away. Different cars have dealt with them differently. Different drivers have driven on them differently, and from here on in, it's about getting home and doing the best with what you got. Davison now, another spot. Gets by Slade for 10th. So the second Erebus Mercedes marching on forward. Whincup is still 18th. Lowndes is still 20th. The Red Bull boys have not made an impression in race 8 of the championship. It's still Coulthard leading the way. Holdsworth, Reynolds, Winterbottom, Moffat, Wall, Van Gisbergen, Mostert, Bright and Davison. That's the top 10. Let's head to Matty White for the run home in race 8 of the championship.
Welcome back, ad-free to the finish of this race. The last 10 laps. Great effort from David Wall in the Wilson Security Ford out of DJR. So he's up into 6th.
It's all going on behind him as well. If he finishes 6th, by the way, that'll be his best ever. But look at this. You got Mostert in here. You've got Bright in there. They're all changing positions because Van Gisbergen is really struggling with the rear of that car now. Will Davison's going to take a bite of this. Tim Slade in here as well. And there's Davo up the inside, done. So now Shane is really vulnerable. James Courtney moving up on Scott Pye too. So if David Wall can stay in 6th, just going back to that point, just trying to spit it out in a hurry because it was all happening behind, that improves on his previous best 7th. she achieved last year at the Gold Coast berth.
Yeah, I'm down here at DJR with Steve Johnson, who just described himself as the team polisher for some reason. Is that all you're doing these days, mate?
Yeah, mate, that's it. Did a bit of sticker work between the races to tidy things up.
Wally's doing a superb job. He really is driving sensational at the moment and moved up into 6th spot.
Yeah, you know, they didn't qualify as good in the first race, better this race, but in the first race, Dave's tyres lasted really well, and by the end of the race, he was quite quick, but he saw that unfortunate incident with God himself, so it put him back a little bit, but, you know, the tyres are working well this race, and, you know, the car's coming on, so I'm looking forward to the last 8 or so laps.
Well, it could be his best finish yet, as you guys said, so let's hope it goes that way.
Don't put the locker on me, mate.
Because he qualified 12th, so he's made up 6 spots. That was a very polite way of Stevie telling you to get out of the garage. On board with Tim Slade. Isn't it amazing? Shane van Gisbergen has long been in this race the cork in the bottle, and once it pops, away they go. So he's down to 10th. Both Erebus Motorsport Mercs are inside the top 10, and Lee Holdsworth is closing in on Fabian. So it's half a second now, and look at the change in the championship. With both the Red Bull cars struggling, Wingcup down in 17th and Lowndes in 19th. If it finishes like this, Fabian Coulthard is just 4 points away from this series lead.
Put the pressure on.
Don't discount David Reynolds in this either, because they've got to get these cars home on this rubber at the moment. So it's a car length or 2 between the 2 lead cars. Coulthard, Holdsworth, then it's Reynolds, then Winterbottom, Moffat. Look at this. Further back in the pack, this argument for just the positions beyond 10th. You've got Van Gisbergen, Slade, Pye, Wood, Asdale Wood third in the last one. It's a bit of a tougher run in this one. He's got cars left, right and centre.
Oh, this is going to be contact. Very late move by Pye. Good job from Van Gisbergen then, because he had great presence of mind not to turn the car in. Both cars would have made contact then, and he would have been spun. So, good job, Shane. Check this out. Big slide. Check that for car control. Great save. That is a really good bit of driving. May have hurt the rear tyre a fraction.
He does a bit of drifting, but he usually does it on other weekends than the V8 Supercar weekends. But that is an awesome display of oversteer car control there from Van Gisbergen up in turn 7 on that replay. Cool.
And this is a wonderful story for Erebus Motorsport and Betty Clemenco. Ryan Madison to the right there, CEO. So Betty's put her heart and soul into this project. The second year of the operation. They walked away from Tasmania with Will Davison getting their equal best finish of 4th. And now it's car number 4, Lee Holdsworth, who had a tough preparation for this one. He had a house intruder where he had to chase out of his Gold Coast home. And it was a scary encounter. He comes to the race weekend, puts all that behind him. And now he's fighting for the lead at the back end of this race with Fabian Coulthard. The last the last podium finish that Lee had was at this circuit 2 years ago.
So what do, Crompo? Do you have a lunge? You've got to have a lunge.
Got to have a lunge. Exactly. Also, you'd have to know who you're racing. And one of the things that Fabian does is he just locks up and runs wide. He'll be vulnerable when they get to 3. Fabian's into making sure that he gets points. He's not a win or bust merchant. He's vulnerable here, and there's a change for the lead on, but it didn't quite eventuate. That was close. But Fabian's not one of those guys who necessarily wins or bins. And Lee will probably know that. There's some stress in the garage at Erebus Motorsport. That little lock brake moment was costly for Coulthard, and it's probably affecting the front end performance of the car right now.
So what Lee's got to do is use his brain and work out the spot where he's got a little gain over Fabian. It looks like he's got a good gain coming out of turn 2 up to turn 3. He's passed a lot of cars over the course of the weekend there. He was very strong in the previous race at that spot. And this other end of the track, he doesn't look like it's quite good enough. So we really got to focus on what was the old turn 1 and turn 3 now. It looks like he's got a little bit of wheel spin and the really slow stuff. So these 90-degree corners don't necessarily suit him. Where the car flows better, he's got better car speed. You can see there the angle of, look at this is a replay down the inside. He was probably up far enough then to have got that done. Dave Stewart, he was willing Lee on here. The guys have worked so hard on this program. Remember, this is the ex-Stone Brothers team, converted into Erebus Motorsport. They've gone from Ford to AMG E63 Mercedes-Benz chassis. This has been an amazing program, and he has got car speed.
Betty could hardly talk when Rihanna was interviewing her not too long ago. So the Erebus garage, the Brad Jones Racing garage, who already have 2 trophies for the weekend, a first and third, and a fourth, by the way, in the earlier race. All nervous. So Lee hasn't won a race for 4 years. He's only won 2 in his career. This would mean so much to Erebus and to Betty. It already does to be on the podium at this stage. He's got everything to gain by having a look anywhere he can against Fabian. And one slight mistake, you saw it earlier, a little lockup was all he needed to have a look. But Fabian was up for it.
The fastest guy on the track by a mile is Mark Winterbottom. He's a second faster than the leaders to the second sector on this lap.
And just a whisker under 5 seconds from the lead of the race. Well, that wouldn't be a good sound when you're in the lead of the race. Much rather hear 1 or 2 to go than 5. You're going to have to nurse these tyres through. Lee's in a better position at the moment with car speed, but he can't afford to slip up either. David Reynolds, the watching brief. There's Mark Winterbottom just behind in position 4. He continues to narrow the margin by about half a second a lap.
Yeah, those two are going to be on these guys in a heartbeat.
Oh, understeer, big understeer there for Fabian through turn 4. He had a second stab at the steering and reset the car, throttle and hands. And he just allowed Lee to get that little bit closer again.
Winterbottom was 1.3 seconds faster than these 2 guys on the previous lap.
On lap 30 out of 34. Now Armour All pole sitter, Fabian Coulthard. Scott McLaughlin got the jump on him at the start. But McLaughlin forced into the lane, and now more action at the back of the pack involving both Red Bulls are here. These guys, top 3 in the championship, 2 of them. And now they're mixing it in the danger zone.
I said to Craig at Tasmania, what's it like racing down there? He said, mate, they play for keeps down there, those boys. This is serious.
So this battle to the death is in position 18, 19 and 20 at the moment. And it's Michael Caruso's the meat and the sandwich back to the lead of the race, and it's those 2 Fords lurking in 3rd and 4th that are creating a bit of concern up front because they've tightened the margin. Winterbottom's now 3 seconds from the lead of the race. There he is, left-hand side of frame. There's 3rd place David Reynolds. This is building to a very big finish. Will it be a Holden? Will it be a Mercedes? Or will it be a Ford? Look at the way that Coulthard has to glide that car through there. Just tippy-toes and slides the car through 4.
These are the days when if you've got the car that's good enough to win the race, you must win the race now. So for Holdsworth, this is good enough. The car's good enough to do what I would have called now a good, sensible manoeuvre in the closing laps here. He's got to put one of these manoeuvres on.
Just when you were selling that to me, he had a big lunge, Lee Holdsworth, up the inside at 7. He had the back of the car step out on him momentarily, so that was a little moment for him. Meantime, these other guys are getting closer.
Betty can't watch. Husband Daniel, she just cannot handle it.
And you know what happens? Because the art of this is the awareness. So Holdsworth is looking in the mirror and he's seeing Dave Reynolds and Mark Winterbottom coming at him. Yeah. So he knows that if he doesn't get on with this, you don't just miss out on winning it, you go backwards.
What do you reckon, turn 3? A look at turn 3. So Holdsworth will have a look down here through the S's. He'd be looking to sneak up the inside if he can get through the S's cleanly and come off 2 strongly. This is 1. Direction change for 2. He's hoping that Fabian will slide a bit. If he gets a sniff of that slide, he'll dart up the inside when they get to the braking area at 3. Yes! And does it!
Yes! Great move.
Incredible. Erebus lead the race on lap 32 out of 34. A huge move from Lee Holdsworth.
And you've got to get your head down now, Matt. Do not look in the mirror. Get your brain around it. A couple of laps to go. Do not make a mistake.
Winterbottom on Reynolds. The battle for third's on. Frosty up the inside of his teammate.
Got him. Good job.
David leaves some space. So Frosty's on the march here. He's got Fabian firmly in his grasp at the moment. He could grab another spot.
Holdens have won the last 12 races going to the back end of last year. And now we find ourselves with an E63 AMG Mercedes-Benz driving into the history books in the V8 Supercars Championship.
It was Winton last year for Nissan's first win in over 20 years. I don't know how long ago it is since Mercedes won here, but never.
Well, that's a reward for pure patience of Lee Holdsworth. And you guys were right. He had to make a call sooner or later.
Hey, mate, two to go. Just not to get the threat from behind. Get it to the end, mate.
But he waited until he knew that there was as much risk taken out of the move as possible.
1 minute 27.3 for Holdsworth, 28.5 after being past Coulthard, 27.5 for Winterbottom, 29.1 for Reynolds. The gap across the first three at the moment, 1.9 seconds at the control line. There they are. And Coulthard will be vulnerable. Here's the replay down into turn 3. Fabian's going to be vulnerable up into turn 7 and the replay and the reaction in the garage. It's mega.
It's great.
So look for Coulthard to be under threat when they get up here in the braking zone at 7. Not quite close enough, but not far for Frosty. He's going to snip him for sure.
We haven't made much of this, but David Wall in 5th is also doing a really good job, Crompo.
Career best in a V8 supercar by 2 positions. Look at the back of the car and the Lockwood Holden. It's sliding around. Frosty will try the crisscross. It's got much better traction. Oh, I don't want to be on the outside of turn 10. Does he dive to the inside? He does look, but he can't make it stick. 11 is now an opportunity for him. So he'll try the crisscross down here. He's got a great exit, and Fabian's gone, you know what, I'd rather finish than end up in the paddock, so he lets him go.
Both these guys are in serious championship contention, aren't they? So they've got to be smart. They've done that. Fabian sidestepped him. Winterbottom through. That's a very good performance from Mark Winterbottom.
It's not done yet. It's not done. Look at the speed for Frosty relative to Holdsworth. So the Pepsi Max Ford Falcon is blazing at the moment. It's officially 1.9 seconds, but those meters are disappearing fast between them.
Last lap. So can Lee hold on? Can Frosty mow him down? An extraordinarily emotional day this will be. Erebus Motorsport, headed by Betty Klemenko. A 2-car operation this year. Already Will Davison showing us some good form in Tasmania. This man was solid at Sandown. He was 4th with Craig Baird last year. And he's only half a lap away now from delivering what they came into this sport to do. Shake the cage and win races.
Don't start that stuff. Do not start that stuff.
He's got a couple of turns to go. Turn 11. Frosty will be in the picture. There he is. Turn 12. And you listen and watch the celebrations. Mercedes-Benz win in the V8 Supercars for Erebus Motorsport. And Lee Holdsworth drives into the history books.
Oh, man. Hey, where do we go? Do I pull up here or what?
No, just keep
around, mate.
Well done.
There's some burnout to jump, brother. I will, mate. I will. No one deserves that more than you. Great job.
One person, I've got to get here and go. I know it's going to be hard to say much, Betty, but tell us what you can. I know it was hard to talk earlier. What does this mean to you?
I got a long walk.
Up, she means up to the podium. But you've got involved in a great team that was Stone Brothers Racing. You had a mission. You've brought a new car in. Did you think you'd win this early?
I knew that Lee had it in him. I knew the car had it in him. And I just want to thank every single one of those people out there that has supported us, all the fans and all the people that have stood in the rain for us. I couldn't have done it without them.
Well, I'll tell you a really nice thing. I saw all you boys. They're over here now. Look at this. Arms around each other. Where's McDougall? Some tears there, mate. Well done. Beautiful stuff. This is a great, great effort.
Fantastic scenes, and that's the changing face of our sport. Well, Mark Winterbottom's applauding the efforts of those around him and Lee Holdsworth, but you've got to applaud his drive as well, because it was another stunner and he was there. Another lap, he would have been putting a heck of a lot of pressure on Lee Holdsworth, who now lets the E63 loose.
And have a look at the industry reaction. The guys all pulling up alongside, Mark Winterbottom up alongside, the Moffat stopped alongside to stop and wave.
And his mate Michael Caruso as well. They're
Great.
good buddies. So
really good.
Certainly reward for extremely hard work.
He's a great character. He's good for the sport.
And he would have gone through some tough times last year when this was an early development.
Oh, man.
And it's hard to keep the faith sometimes, isn't it, when that's going on?
Kevin Fitzsimmons there from Dunlop. He knows, as a keen industry person, the level of effort that's gone in to get these cars to the front of the field. And what an incredible day at Winton for Lee Holdsworth and everybody at Erebus Motorsport.
Great job, Frosty, too.
Damien White there from Viet Supercar, giving the guys a clap. Actually, that was a really high-quality race, and those three guys drove those cars so well. Remember, they're almost 4 seconds slower at the end than at the start.
Solid turnaround from Ford Performance Racing to have Mark Winterbottom on the podium, David Reynolds in 4th, Chaz Mostert inside the top 10. Best career placing for David Wall in 5th. We touched on his efforts throughout this race. James Moffat, who won here last year, is in 6th. And that's the moment for Erebus Motorsport V8 that they've been waiting for. A year and a half in the making, and all the hard work that went into creating this team out of Stone Brothers Racing, getting into the AMG E63 chassis. And now they've delivered.
Yeah. Well done, Lee. Great reaction. Great reaction. The only one you've got to feel sorry for is Scott McLaughlin, after leading the race in the Volvo S60 and coming in with some electrical dramas. So for this young man, what a form guide. And look at Fabian, straight up. It's great, isn't it? Great sense of camaraderie with some of the best drivers in the world at the front of this field.
Now, he's always got a great smile anyway, Lee Holdsworth. He was just born with that good smile. It'll be beaming after that performance. So you have to go back to Sydney Olympic Park in 2010 to find the last time that he won. So all those years without victory, and now this one's a really special one.
Lee Holdsworth, congratulations. Just pop that on your head. Just tell me, I know how tough it has been for you the last 12 months. What is going through your mind right now?
I'm not going to be able to talk here. Pretty emotional. It's been such a hard last 12 months, and what's going on through the week hasn't helped. So, yeah, I want to say happy birthday, Mum. It's been a good day for her as well as me. So I'm so proud of my boys at Erebus. We're looking for a sponsor at the moment, and this is the best way we can, try and find one. Thanks to the crowd. I saw everyone cheering the last couple of laps. I was stoked. So we're up the front. We're here to stay, I think.
I've had conversations with you throughout last year. You got really down at points. I know Alana was concerned about you, your wife at home, because it was such a difficult year for the team and for yourself. And Betty, she's just arrived. You guys have the longest way to get up here. But what does it mean for Betty Klemenko? Betty, I'm so sorry because I know you want to speak to Lee, but what's going through your mind right now?
I love this boy. I'm sorry, Alana. I love him. Oh, yeah. To every single fan and person who has stood in the rain with me, for this guy who believed in himself the whole way through last year, and all those people that believed in him, thank you so much.
We'll let you continue on with your celebrations, and we can't forget Mark Winterbottom as well. What a charge that was in those last few laps for you to get past and get right up there to get on the podium.
Yeah, it was a big fight back, but awesome to get second. I think the gap was about 8 seconds at one stage, but good to see different winners. It's it's good for the sport, and
I'm wrapped. It was a big fight back, so got to qualify better, and we'll see how tomorrow goes.
Of course, this is technically a home track for you guys. Renee, your wife's behind you, and the two little kids. What's it like to race when your whole family can be here?
It's more pressure, there's no doubt about that. So when you perform, it's all right, but when you qualify 24th, it's a bit hard to go back and see the family. So, no, we're going good. We got some good points today. We had, a good run, home track. We haven't tested here yet this year, but it is a home track. So we'll tweak her up and go again tomorrow.
And Fabian Coulthard once again on the podium for race 8. You couldn't quite get the double win, but getting on the podium, congratulations in third position.
Yeah, look, we've had a fantastic day. 2 poles, 2 podiums. It's not a bad day at all. But congratulations to the guys at Erebus. Lee drove a great race, and I had nothing for him. So today was his day. But look, thanks for everyone coming out here. My guys at Lockwood Racing have done a great job, and we're pretty happy.
This championship fight is well and truly on.
It is. But look, it's a long way to go. And I've spoken about this, time and time again, that, it's not won or lost in the first few rounds, but having a good first few rounds, has a huge impact on the season. So it's all good.
Congratulations. Good chat, Fabian.
No worries. Good chat.
Well, plenty of euphoria around at the moment. A little bit more down here in Dick Johnson Racing. David Wall, position 5. Let me shake your hand, mate. Terrific. Great drive. Tell us about it, because it's hard to understand sometimes, when you pop in there and drive so well and finish P5. What did you do differently today?
Yeah, look, I really tried to look after the tyres early on. Engineer Chris was really hard on me early on. Not yet, mate, not yet. No, just trying to look after the tyres, and really paid dividends in the end. The first race we were doing the same thing, but unfortunately it got turned around. But definitely have good pace in the car, and looking forward to tomorrow for sure.
Shows the importance of a good engineer, but well done, mate. A great drive.
Thank you. Hello to Amy and Ryan and the girls at home. Thanks.
Wow, what an eventful day. Stories left, right and centre. It's hard to get a read on everything, so let's run you through the results. 1, 2 and 3, as you know, and there's David Wall in 5th. So James Moffat inside the top 10. James Courtney finishing in 9th. So Craig Lowndes, championship leader, finishes in 16th. Jamie Whincup, who was 2nd in the championship, now 3rd, finishes in 19th. And a tough day, a tough weekend for Volvo with Robert Dahlgren and Scott McLaughlin. So let's get to the podium. Sure to be plenty of emotion here. Aaron Noonan.
It's time for the podium for race 8 of the championship at the Winton 400. The winner for Erebus Motorsport V8, Lee Holdsworth. In second place for Ford Pepsi Max crew, Mark Winterbottom. And in third for Lockwood Racing, Fabian Coulthard. And representing the winning team from Erebus Motorsport V8, Betty Clemenco. To present the third place trophy, John McMillan, Chief Executive Officer of Wilson Security. To present the second place trophy, Warren Sheehan, Vice President of the Benalla Auto Club. Presenting the winning team trophy, Shane Howard, Chief Operating Officer of V8 Supercars. And presenting the winner's trophy to Lee Holdsworth, Richard Weston, President of Benalla Auto Club. There you have it, your podium finishes in race 8 of the championship at the Winton 400.
He's held in high regard by his peers, Lee Holdsworth, and we know that Betty Clemenco is a star in her own right in V8 Supercars, and she's been waiting for this moment. She'll soak up every bit too. Not often you can get away with doing that to the team boss, but Lee Holdsworth, well, he's done the job today. So in terms of the championship, you just saw there Craig Lowndes on top, Fabian Coulthard only 19 points away. And Tim Slade rounds out our top 10